Welcome to How's Your ePresence here on this wonderful Thursday afternoon. This day we are on our second podcast / streamcast, and we are glad you are here. We had a wonderful guest this morning and this afternoon. We are going to entirely shift gears and get into the world of insurance and annuities. We have a wonderful guest to talk to there. And it is, I don't know about you guys, it's getting cold outside. Here at my home, I got to walk the dogs a couple of times a day if I'm at home, and I am not interested in going outside. So I am really happy that I'm here in my office with some heat. This show is named How's Your ePresence, as you know, and it's produced by the company ePresence, and our producer is Morgan Wood. We always love the work that she does. My name is Mark Galvin, and I am your host. Thanks for being here. What do? We are interested in talking about marketing issues on this show. We're going to talk about how you can optimize one part of your marketing world a little better than maybe it's doing today. Today, we're going to talk about LinkedIn, which I think some of you know I'm pretty excited about. But we've talked about other things in the past. And if you go back and look at the library, you'll see some great topics. So, for example, we talked about how to market local businesses with Gordon Van Weckel of Alchemy Consulting. Also, we had a conversation with Michelle Hoagland of Palladian Global Market about utilizing layered marketing approach. So go check out those shows. They are either our podcast channel or they're sitting there on our YouTube channel. We always run our shows live on either Tuesdays or Thursdays. They're Tuesdays, we're at 9, and Thursdays, we're at 3 p.m. And here we are, 3 o'clock on a Thursday, and we are glad you're here. If you're tuning in, we'd love for you to pop in and tell us where you're tuning in from. Just drop in a city, state. Let us know where you're watching from. We just would love to know what part of the world people join us. And send us questions. You can submit questions live here on the shows, and we will ask our guest whatever question you have on your mind. And pretty cool thing, because we always have awesome guests. You can ask our awesome guests the question that you have. That's pretty darn cool. And we'll put it right on the screen and make sure that you get recognition for that question. Today, what are we going to talk about? We're going to speak with, I should say, a social media guru from a highly regulated environment. Now, this is one of those things in an insurance world or in a financial sector. It's very regulated. You got to be careful what you say on social. Well, we've got a guru that's going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about how you can connect with an audience that's a little skeptical about social media. And we're going to figure out how we can use our social media a little better. And we're going to focus on LinkedIn today. If you're here for the first time or a returning guest or viewer, we'd love for you to subscribe. So hit that subscribe banner on that side, Mark. Hit that subscribe banner. Hit that button right there on your screen. Why? Because you'll get notified when we go live. And if you're joining us when we're live, you can ask a question of our guest. So please hit that subscribe banner. All right, let me tell you who our guest is today. She is Sheryl Moore with Wink Inc. She is the president and CEO of Moore Market Intelligence. She's also the founder and creator of Wink Inc.'s, Sheryl, I'm having a hard time with that, Wink Inc.'s annuity specs and life specs tools. Also, Wink's sales and marketing report. Her company specializes in providing competitive intelligence tools to the insurance industry, particularly the indexed life and annuity markets. She's an author of books. She writes articles that are featured in dozens of industry trade publications, and she works closely with regulators and legislators from the insurance market. She got a poli-sci degree from Grandview University and holds many, many designations from the insurance field. All right, folks, now you know who we've got. Start thinking about those questions. Be ready to put them up on the screen and tell us where you're joining us from. Let's see. My script says it's time to bring Sheryl on. Let's see if we can find her out there. Sheryl, where are you? There you are.
I'm in Des Moines,
Welcome.
Iowa.
Des Moines. I love Des Moines. Actually, I've never been to Des Moines.
Well, it's the third largest insurance capital of the world and the annuities capital of the world.
Now, why is that? There's got to
Because
be some tax implications there.
you're exactly right, Mark. We don't charge premium tax to insurance companies that are domesticated here on qualified dollars that go into annuities. So pre-tax money doesn't get taxed by the regulators here.
Oh, well, that makes total sense. I would be in Des Moines too if I was in that industry. Are you a native from Des Moines or did you move there later?
That's a tough question. I'm actually from Pensacola, Florida, but I'm a Navy brat. I would say Iowa is home, or Des Moines is home as much as any place can be.
Oh, that's fantastic. And well, and you said Pensacola?
Pensacola, Florida.
That's that's Braves country down there. A lot of people support the Atlanta Braves. Are you a baseball fan?
I'm
Did you
not.
get You didn't. Okay.
I
And
was
not
a
that
cheerleader.
not that we are biased to here in Atlanta about the Braves and winning the World Series and kick.
I
Oh,
hear
wait a
you
minute. No.
like them. Yeah.
We love those people. Well, this is good. I'm so glad you're here. You and I met at a conference. Actually, it was in Vegas. I was running a breakout. You were in the room, and one of the things I do in my training is I ask for a volunteer that I can put up on the screen. And listen, this is not a question for the faint of heart because I'm going to show your profile to the entire room. And you readily said, "Hey, put me up there." And we put your photograph and your entire profile on the screen. And you were such a great participant. I chased you down after the session, and we had a conversation. Oh my gosh, got to have you on the show because of your expertise on social, and you use LinkedIn like nobody's business. How does LinkedIn help you do your work?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I get a ton of business off of LinkedIn. Um, I just kind of use it as a stream of consciousness for the insurance thoughts that I have. And ultimately, it results in people being driven to me and asking, "Who are you? What do you do?"
So this is really interesting. You use it as a platform, and you said stream of consciousness, which means when you think of something, you go to LinkedIn and you just post it.
Exactly. I have people frequently say, "How do you do all that you do in LinkedIn? How do you have time?" And my response is, "Well, it's not planned. Just when I think of something that I think other people might want to know about, I go out and post." So it's not extraordinary for me to post on LinkedIn maybe a dozen times a day.
This is something I think is extremely interesting. And Morgan, our producer, and I were talking about this yesterday. We're seeing some traction on some sites, on some LinkedIn pages because they're more active. And just getting active is half the battle. And if it's okay with you, I want to ask you before I do, is it okay if I pull your LinkedIn page and put it on the
Oh,
screen? Because we can do that.
sure. Yeah, please.
This is really interesting. The reason I like this, and the reason this is such a good conversation, is because by being active on LinkedIn, you're finding that it likes you more.
Yeah.
And there's a few more buttons I got to hit here. Okay, here we go. I want the pick your screen. I want that screen. We got to move everybody out of the way. There we go. So perfect. Go big. And I'll make this a little larger. So this is interesting. So just an hour ago, you posted this post right here, and it's just a link. Now you've got some hashtags that you use frequently. Do you always use the same hashtags?
No. In fact, that's one of the things I'm known for is I like to create crazy funny hashtags, but I use them. So I may go back and call something, for example, get a load of the hashtag get a load of this guy. Who else is going to hashtag get a load of this guy? But if I need to refer to it later, I'll remember so I can type in the LinkedIn search bar hashtag get a load of this guy and refer back to that post.
I
So
love that.
there are a few that I use frequently, though, like the hashtag insurance job is one of the primary hashtags that I use on a daily basis, even.
Got it. And this link will take me to a job posting.
Yep, absolutely.
That's awesome. So, folks, here's why this is so great. I can go in and I can come up here to the search bar. I'm not going to do it just because it's a rabbit hole, but I could go up here to the hashtag up here to the search bar. And I can type in hashtag insurance job, and I can find all of Sheryl's posts on insurance jobs. So this is, Sheryl, why it's so great of what you're doing. You are sharing content in a way that allows people to know, oh, consistency. If I'm looking for all the jobs that Sheryl's posting, I can go hashtag insurance job and find all of them. I love that. That's just brilliant. The other thing that you're doing, which I really like, is that, and I'm just looking at time. So 1 hour ago, 1 hour ago, 1 hour ago. This is great. You are not just a little active, you're extremely active. And
Well, when
here's
I
the thing.
find things that are relevant, Mark, I will post them all at one time. So I happened to hit one website that had a bunch of information that I thought would be relevant to my audience, but it
Good.
was different audiences. So as you can see, some of those are for Chicago, Southern Illinois, Northern Indiana, but I had another one that's for Hawaii and another for Houston. So I'll break those open and post them in several posts all at the same time if I found them in the same place.
And what's good about this, here's what I love, is that your audience is used to you posting. They're finding that you are a source for content. And here's what I think is interesting. So this is 22 hours ago. You got engagement with this post. You're getting engagement on posts even in the short amount of time that they've been there.
Mm-hmm.
How often do you get a post that really blows up, that goes to 20,000 people?
Usually about once a week, maybe once every other week. I don't know if that's standard or extraordinary, but yeah, I would say once every week or two.
It's not standard to reach 20,000 people. Now, you have 17,000 connections slash followers. You probably do have some followers, not just connections.
Yeah.
And so just your general posts will reach more people. I, I, I don't want to spend an entire show only looking at LinkedIn, but the point is you're simply posting what comes to that's important to you, and you don't wait on it. You're not worried. Worried is probably the wrong word, but maybe the right word, that, oh no, I'm sharing too much. LinkedIn loves what you're doing, and they reward you, if you want to call it that, by letting a post every once in a while really blow up. Because here's an example. You've got a post yesterday where you said, and I'll show this because it's here, right here. You said, brainstorming. This is actually really cool. What are all the available plan types for annuities? You've got 29 comments. Now, I can't see the analytics. You can on your screen. The analytics of this, by seeing 29 comments, you reached a bunch of people. This is in the tens of thousands of reach.
Yeah, it definitely was. I think the last time I looked at it, it was over 14,000.
Right. Yeah. And so people like what you're doing, and they're clicking the see more button. Folks, listen, anytime somebody clicks the see more, it helps the reach of that post. And this is great. There's another one of your unique hashtags. Hey, I do have a tip for you.
Yes.
Put the same hashtag on all your posts. Find one, use the same hashtag on all of them.
Okay.
Always just add the one. And it could be, right? You could do hashtag wink on all of your posts. That would be really cool. And it's branding. You would choose, I would recommend, of course, you know your brand better than I do. Pick one that really works for you. Well, this is cool. Thank you for letting me show your and you're like an open book. I knew you'd be okay with it. Otherwise I wouldn't have gone down that rabbit hole with you.
Transparency is my middle name, Mark.
So
which look great on my wedding invitations, by the way.
Is that your next job? You're going to start with you doing wedding invitations?
No. But I am frequently referred to as the most transparent person in life insurance.
Well, obviously, and here's what's interesting. You have people in the industry come to you and ask you about social media. I'm sure it happens all the time. Wow, you're so good at this. What do you typically tell someone that they can do with their social media immediately if they're a little uncomfortable or don't know what to do first?
Well, I'll be honest with you, Mark. Everything I do on social media was self-taught. I haven't read a book or watched somebody else or followed somebody or watched any videos. So I basically started from nothing and figured I'll just use this as a way to get information to people who I have relationships with and want them to learn that information right away. So basically, if there's something that I find valuable and I think, oh, well, somebody else might appreciate that information, I just go out to LinkedIn and post it. Now, fortunately, I think LinkedIn is very intuitive. I don't know about you. There's some other social networks. I'll be honest with you. Instagram, sometimes for me, I don't get it. I'm like, what's a little paper airplane? And what's the difference between that and the heart? I don't know. But LinkedIn is super intuitive.
Well, you find LinkedIn intuitive because you're very comfortable there.
Yeah.
And the one thing that is true, I think, for all social is once you get there, you can't break it.
Right.
So punching buttons is perfectly fine. It's kind of like getting a new remote control. My mother-in-law just moved into a new place and we gave her an Amazon Fire TV. And I thought, just press the buttons, just go through and find out what they do. And you can do the same thing on social. You're not going to break it. You're really comfortable on LinkedIn. The things that I find that people are they're afraid to say something. They're afraid to get in and post something, and just dip your toe in the water. Just say something. And whatever that is always going to be a good thing. I think a good thing, especially if people are in a cautious state anyway. They're not going to say something that's going to hurt them. So just dip your toe in the water. So your audience is in the insurance world. How do you connect with an audience that's generally skeptical? Well, let me rephrase this. Let me not ask that question directly. What is the demographic of your specific audience?
So really, it's anybody who cares about life insurance or annuities. Annuities are a retirement savings product for those who don't know, who are watching. So it might be people who purchase those products. It could be people who sell those products, or people who distribute them, such as banks or broker dealers, and then insurance companies as well. So anyone who works for any one of those or consumers, they're all my customers, so to speak, from a social media standpoint.
Got it. And the dominant side of this, are we talking about older people or younger people, men or women?
So I work in an industry with a bunch of 65-year-old white guys, Mark.
I knew you're going to go there, but I just had to kind of tease that out. All right, good.
So I will say it is an older demographic, and it is predominantly men. And quite honestly, it's not very diverse, but that's the audience.
Right. Are those folks generally tolerant of social media or skeptical of it?
I think they're skeptical just because they don't know how it can add value to your business. We have some big insurance companies, and I'm not going to name names, but insurance companies so big you see ads on TV. They'll have entire departments whose whole job is to work on social media strategies. So they'll do a good job at creating advertisement or posting press releases and things. But those aren't really the things that get engagement, in my opinion. And so I see a lot of people in this industry who just say, well, how's that relevant to me? What's it going to do for me? And then they see my feed and they say, oh, this person's different. This person's doing something I've never seen before. And so I think that's part of why what I'm doing works.
Absolutely. And I think that you're really a trendsetter in many ways because of what you're doing. And whenever I talk to somebody in the regulated space, I'd say you can talk about puppy dogs, kitty cats, and unicorns. Don't ever talk about cash. Don't ever say, all right, I have an annuity that is returning X. That's you can't say. You can't promise returns ever. So and here's an example. In a puppy dog, kitty cat, or unicorn in this case is, hey, you looking for a job? That's a great post. And an easy one to do. And you're helping out a friend. You're helping out someone else because you've got someone that you're connected to that needs a job, and you got somebody over here who needs to fill that job. And bringing them together, it's a very good example of a way to use social.
Well, it's part of how I built my following, to be honest with you, Mark. I mean, I know if there's one thing that you can always count on in the insurance world, it's mergers and acquisitions, which means people losing their jobs or people needing to hire people. And so I knew that by being reliable with #InsuranceJob, it was going to drive people to follow me.
That's just brilliant. And here's the truth. If we're walking down the street, you and I are talking, we run into each other outside the coffee shop, and we're chit-chatting, and you say, "Hey, how's business?" I say, "Well, you know what? I'm looking for a new e-publicist. We need more people to manage social." You'll say, "Hey, let me help you with that. I know so and so and so and so that has someone that needs that help." Well, you're just doing it on your social.
Yep.
And everybody would do that, right? So it is one of those things. Bridging that, I think, is important, and that's why you are really good at what you do. And that one of the reasons I wanted you on the show, because these are basics that
Yeah.
you do naturally that others go, "Oh, wow, that's a good idea." So this is good stuff. Now, do you know compliance officers?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I worked closely with compliance officers in my career working for an insurance company.
So, number one, describe what a compliance officer is if it's someone that's watching the show that doesn't deal with compliance officers. Who are they? What do they do?
They're basically people who look at regulations that say what you can and cannot say, whether it be face to face or through Zoom or through brochures or emails or letters. So, somebody who ensures that people are not saying things they're not supposed to say. So, you gave the example, you shouldn't promise returns. So, you can't say this annuity will guarantee you 14% yield. That's just not acceptable because it's not true. So they're not
Right.
going to give permission for a statement like that in an advertisement for annuities, for example.
And why are compliance officers needed?
They're needed because this would be the wild west of insurance if compliance officers didn't do what they do. So you'd have a lot of consumers that were being misled or maybe not understanding how these products work or what the typical expectation should be.
Yeah.
So a lot of people like to complain about compliance officers and say that they make their jobs hard. But the
Right.
reality is that it makes it so I don't know how to put this more tactfully, so that people aren't peeing in the pool.
don't mess things up, right? That's
Yes,
really what we're talking
exactly.
about here. Yeah. But it all relates back to laws, right? There are laws that are in place that restrict people from, well, potentially lying and misleading people and saying, because I will tell you, if you walked in and said, "Hey, I can guarantee a 14% return on an annuity," I can't get into that annuity fast enough. So
Right.
restricting that is a really good thing. Okay. So how do you are and we've talked a lot about it, and there may not be anything additional, but is there any additional information you can share that people that want to use social media can and will not upset a compliance officer? What are some of the other tactics you employ?
It's easy for me just because I've worked with compliance for so long and I have a lot of contacts that work in that industry. I even belong to a compliance trade association. So it comes easy to me, but I use the New York Times rule. I don't know if you've heard of the New York Times rule, Mark.
I have not.
Um,
Tell me what that is.
okay. So I don't say anything on social media that I wouldn't want to see printed on the front of the New York Times.
Oh, I like that rule.
Yeah.
So
I
can
That
we do an
drives
example?
everything. Yeah, so, just using our, example of talking about returns on your annuity. I have an annuity which recently earned 14%. Well, that is not what somebody should expect to receive from annuity that they buy today. So, would I want my name associated with that statement, knowing that there are people who might look at that and call me out as a liar or say that I'm
Right.
misleading or trying to commit fraud? No, I don't do that. So, I basically live and breathe the New York Times rule with everything that I do, just because what's most important to me is my character and what other people think about my integrity.
I like that rule. I have a challenge with that rule because there's sometimes I may not want to post that Sheryl and I just went for lunch at the barbecue joint, but that is good for social media.
Oh, yeah.
So, but here's the other thing. If a New York Times photographer walked up and took a picture of you and I having lunch, because you and I, we are very famous,
Yes.
and they put that in the Times, that's okay. So I guess it does work with that rule. I do like that, the New York Times rule. We're going to make sure we reference that in our blog post that we talk about for the show. That is awesome. All right, I'm checking the time. we have time. We do have time for this last question. So, what is the one thing people should know about social media, and what should they do to harness that one thing? So, this kind of goes back to that. The person walks up to you and they're asking you, and you may have. Is there a nugget that you always say? Here's the thing you should know, and this is what you should do about that. What is the one thing?
So for me, I'll speak specifically to LinkedIn just because there's this overarching belief that LinkedIn is about business, or a lot of people that I talk to go, oh, it's like Facebook, but for business, or the professional Facebook, right? And I would challenge people and say, LinkedIn shouldn't be a place that's just for business, because people can't get to know who you are if you don't let some of the personal in there. And
Right.
that's a big reason why I've created the following that I have. I've had some really unbelievable personal experiences in my life, and I mean miracle level stuff. And so I frequently share about those things on my social media, and I get direct messages back just because a lot of people don't want to comment publicly and be vulnerable. But you'd
Right.
be surprised how people say, that message resounded with me so much, and I feel just like I know you, and I really trust you, and thank you. And those things just help my social media presence overall, because I gain a larger following when I connect directly with the audience.
Oh, I love that. There's always the comments, and there's a lot of words thrown around about social media. And one of them is be your authentic self.
Right.
And I honestly, I don't like to say that. In fact, I don't ever advocate be your authentic self. I think the better way to describe it is what you just did is it is okay to share things that are important to you that may be a little more closer to home, if you will. It's
Mhm.
okay to do that. Now, there are some things that if you're extremely uncomfortable sharing, don't.
Right.
But if you know, recently, I'll give you an example. My older brother passed away in January from pancreatic cancer. I did a podcast with him because we knew time was ticking, and I sat down with him and did a full podcast, and it was totally not had nothing to do with digital marketing. And I put it on my digital marketing channels, and the reason I did it is because I wanted to have that. I wanted to hold that moment and experience that with him. So be you, share
Right.
things that are important to you, and it's going to make people like you more. And it's hard though.
Mhm.
Your demographic that you typically deal with, the one we mentioned earlier, it's a little harder for them because you know they don't need to go to the doctor. They
No.
are they don't need help. I don't need to do this. And
Well,
so
they've been doing this longer than I've been alive, is one of the
well,
objections that I hear.
yes. And just so you know, right? That's the truth.
Right.
Well, Sheryl, this has been a great conversation. You really do breathe some life into social and professional social media that people needed to hear. And so I love that got to spend some time with us today. I truly appreciate it. You're a public speaker. You're an expert in your space. You write, you do books. So if anyone within the insurance space doesn't already know you, where can they go to find you?
I would suggest the best place would be to go to just LinkedIn and type in my name, Sheryl J. Moore, into the search bar. They will find my profile immediately, and that will tell them more about all of the businesses that I own and more of what I do.
I love that. Well, and she has 17,000 followers. So she can go to 30,000 connections, but followers are unlimited for the record. So you could follow her and see all the great things. And here's what I would encourage all of you to do. Follow Sheryl and see what she does. And you'll be able to pick up some tips and see some things that you think, "Oh, well I could do that." And if you do, comment on her post. These are great examples. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being who you are on social. You're somebody that's helping me. And I know Sheryl would probably get a kick out of that. Am I
I would
right?
love it. Yeah, I would love it.
Yeah.
What drives me every day is knowing that I have the ability to help other people. So that would be fantastic.
Oh, that's just awesome. Well, Sheryl, hang out. Don't go anywhere yet. We're going to have a little post-show conversation with you, but I do want to tell you publicly, thank you so much for being with us today. It was good to see you.
Thanks so much, Mark. I appreciate you.
So, folks, this is great. Sheryl is she's the perfect guest for us because she really hits the bailiwick of what we talk about and what we do on at ePresence. And on How's Your ePresence, it really helps us give us the content to give you to help you do something maybe a little different, a little better, be a little more efficient even on your social media. Sheryl's posting multiple times a day. You could do the same thing if you had the thought, just pop over there. Now, do I expect you to immediately go after watching this, post 10 times a day? Probably not realistic, but you could post once. And there's I'm referencing someone, I can't remember who it is, but there's somebody on LinkedIn who did an experiment where they posted once a day for a year. And they were finding at the end of that time that their posts were reaching tens of thousands of people. That's why you do it. You can reach a lot of people. And if the percentage is 1% will actually want to do business with you, well, if you're getting a lot of posts reaching 10,000 people, you're going to get some leads. You're going to build relationships with people that will want to do business with you. So that's why all this is so important. What do we do at ePresence? We are a full service social media agency. We help we help companies as well as individuals with their social media. So if you need that help, let us know. We also offer consulting and training. I met Sheryl in a training program, so we offer all that for all of our clients as well. If you would like to take advantage of some of the things we offer, go to the website. Well, you actually have a link for you where you can take advantage of a 5% discount. And there it is. It's e-pr.me/listener. E-PR is short for ePresence. So e-pr.me/listener, and you can take advantage of that 5% discount. How's Your ePresence is everywhere. We are on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. You can tune in live or catch all the shows. I forgot to hang up my phone. You can pick up all of our past shows right there on that channel. And catch up on anything that you may have missed. Be sure to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button so that you get notified when we go live. If you're a podcast listener, you can catch all of our shows on the podcast channel. We drop those once a week, typically on Fridays, and we just simply drop the shows as they come in order once per week, so you can always catch those. And we are everywhere. Morgan, put up that link for the podcast channel. There it is, e-pr.me. That's the full website. ePresence.me/podcast is where you can find all of our podcasts. All right, folks, this show is produced by ePresence. Our producer is Morgan Wood. We love the work that she does. Until next time, for my guest, Sheryl Moore, I am Mark Galvin. Thank you for watching How's Your ePresence?